सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः. Humble prostrations to one and all present here. So we are discussing chapter 9, 13th verse. So after having given that jnanam, Bhagavan is taking up the topic of vijnanam. So what is jnanam? Maya tatamidam sarvam jagat avyaktamurtina matsthani sarvabhutani nachaham tesha vastitah. Arjuna, the whole world is pervaded by me. The whole world is supported by me. From me the whole world comes, in me the whole world is sustained, and into me the whole world is dissolved. So this is the jnanam. So what is the substratum of the whole world, support of the whole world? Bhagavan says it is me. And that Bhagavan is none other than the self in us. So therefore, the whole world is supported in the Supreme Self, which is the I in each one of us. And what is Vijnanam? Trying to experience this Bhagavan as one's own self, that becomes Vijnanam, experiential knowledge. So that is the topic under discussion. So now Bhagavan, after having said that Bhagavan is the very support of the whole world, after that, Bhagavan says there are two types, two ways in which one can lead one's life. What are they? The unintelligent way and the intelligent way. What is the unintelligent way of living life? Verse number 11 and 12. Avajananti ma mudhaha manushim tanumashritam param bhavam ajanantah mama bhuta maheshwaram moghasha moghakarmanah moghajnana vichetasah rakshasim asurim chaiva prakritim mohinim shritaha. So this is the unintelligent way of living life. So what is that lifestyle? Bhagavan says, Avajananti. The ignorant ones ignore me. Bhagavan, why is it that ignorant ones ignore you? Because param bhavam ajanantah. Because they don't know. They don't know who I am. I am the very Lord of this universe. I am residing in the hearts of everyone, as the very self in everyone, as the very I in everyone. But not knowing this great truth, the foolish people, the ignorant people, avajananti, they disregard me, ignore me, disrespect me. They never pay attention to me. So what kind of lifestyle will they lead? They will lead a very materialistic lifestyle, For them, there is nothing called spiritual gold. There is only materialistic gold. There is only worldly gold. And all these materialistic pursuits, what are they? Mogha ashaha, the desires in vain. All the materialistic desires, vain materialistic desires. Mogha karmanaha. Naturally, when desires are faulty, actions also will be erroneous. Mogha karmanaha, vain actions. Mogha jnana, vain knowledge. And therefore, vichetasaha, they live an unintelligent life. They don't even know what the purpose of life is. They think the purpose of life is to gain material glory, material name, fame, power, position, possession, etc. They misunderstand the purpose of life to be this. And what happens to their nature when they live in this way? Rakshasim, Asurim, Mohinim, Prakritim Shritaha. They become endowed with this nature, Prakriti. What Prakriti? Rakshasim, very selfish. Asurim, indulgent. Mohinim, very deluding. They get completely attached with things, beings, and situations. Moha also means attachment. Moha also means delusion. So, Mohini means we have to take both the meanings. The nature which is deluding, meaning they live a life full of delusion, they live a life full of attachments, likes and dislikes. Wherever there is attachments, ragadvesha will be there, and all the other ahankara, mamakara, etc. will be there. So this is the way they live their life. So mohinim sritaha means what? Tension, worry, anxiety, stress, etc. These are all the expressions of attachments, all the negative emotions. So this is the way they live their life, not knowing the purpose of life. On the other hand, what about the wise people? Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakritimashritah bhajantyananya manasah jnatva bhutadim avyayam. On the other hand, the mahatmas, the wise people who have studied the scriptures, what kind of lifestyle is theirs? So, what kind of prakriti they have? Daivim prakritim ashritaha. Endowed with Daivim prakritim, divine nature. So, their nature is not Rakshasim, Asurim or Mohinim. Their nature is Daivim, divine nature. In their life, you find virtues of life, devotion, compassion, humility, etc. That is called as Daivim prakriti, endowed with divine nature. Peace, control over the mind, control over the senses, dispassion, discipline, obedience, love for God, all these are Devim Prakriti. Straightforwardness. So what kind of lifestyle is theirs? Bhajanti ananya manasaha, with single pointed devotion. Bhajanti, they worship the Lord, they serve their Lord. The very lifestyle is nothing but serving Bhagavan. They are also in the world. They also have family responsibilities and professional responsibilities. But all those responsibilities they perform as a worship unto Lord. This is called as bhajanam. Bhajanti ananya manasa. This is the way they live their life. But for any action to take place, knowledge is the most important. Knowledge comes first, actions come next. What is that basis? What is that knowledge based on which they live this life? So therefore it is said, Jnatva bhutadim avyayam jnatva. Having known, knowing this. So knowing this, they do bhajanam. Jnatva bhajanti. So what is that knowledge? Jnatva bhutadim avyayam. They know that this Lord, who is the self in me, he is bhutadim. He is a very support of the whole world. support of all beings, the very substratum, the very essence. And Avyayam, that Lord is the only one who is imperishable in this world. Rest everything is perishable. Bhutadim Avyayam. The best example is the wave and water. Just like water is the very support for the wave, essence of the wave, without water, wave cannot exist. So in that sense, it is wave Adim, we can say. And at the same time, Avyayam also. The waves will perish, but the water will not perish. So in that sense, water is Avyayam. So just like there is a relationship between wave and water, in the same way, there is a relationship between the whole world and the self. The self is supporting the whole world. The whole world has come from the self. The whole world remains in the self. And the world may perish, but the Supreme Self, there is no destruction. So knowing this great truth, understanding the glory of the self, Nyatva, what do? Ananya Manasaha Bhajanti. They worship this Lord. So throughout their life, even as they are fulfilling their worldly responsibilities, worldly duties, they are holding on to Bhagavan at the back of the mind. This is the way the mahatmas live. They hold on to the higher I and perform their duties identified with the lower I in the world of names and forms. So such people are called mahatmas. So now the next verse tells us how this way of living slowly elevates a person and takes him to the highest. So what is that verse? Verse number 14. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridhavrataha namasyantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. So in their life, what do we find? So this is how a person progresses in the path of spirituality. A beautiful verse is given here. Satatam kirtayantaha mam. All the time glorifying me. Yatantaha, striving hard. Dridhavrataha, firm in his vows. Namasyantaha mam bhaktya, with devotion bowing down to me, surrendering unto me. Nityayuktaha, ever steadfast. Upasate, these people worship me. So what is the first step here? Satatam kirtayantaha mam. So this is the first step. Satata kirtanam, always glorifying me. Why is it that this person glorifies Bhagavan? So the first step is not actually kirtanam, the first step is shravanam. First we listen to the scriptures and then we come to know the glory of the Lord. Who is God? What is the nature of God? All these things we come to know only when we listen to the scriptures. So the first step is shravanam, listening to the scriptures. Then comes mananam, reflection upon scriptures. And then comes kirtanam. So actually this kirtanam is the third step. Kirtanam means what? An intense longing to attain the Lord. That intense desire is called kirtanam. Generally, kirtanam is translated as, singing some bhajans and all that. Kirtan, chanting Bhagavan's name, singing his glory. Generally, that is how kirtanam is translated. But actual meaning of kirtanam is deep down an intense desire to become one with God, an intense desire to experience God, an intense desire to become free from all kinds of limitations of the world, to become free from birth and death. This intense desire in the mind to realize God is called as kirtanam. You are glorifying Bhagavan. Means what? Bhagavan, I have an intense desire to become one with you. This is called kirtanam. So satatam kirtayantaha. This desire has become intense and therefore it is all the time there. Satatam, constantly. Now, where is this desire coming from? It comes from deep reflection, mananam. So, first do Shravanam, then reflect upon this, then gain a deep conviction, and from this conviction comes this desire that the purpose of life is God realization alone. So, this intense desire born out of reflection, constant reflection, this intense desire is called as kirtanam. Without proper mananam, kirtanam can never happen. Unless we are intellectually convinced, we cannot wholeheartedly desire anything in life. So here, the wholehearted desire for God comes from deep reflection. Satatam kirtayantaha mam. So once this intense desire is born in our heart, the next step is effortless. It is automatic. What is the next step? Yatantaha. Yatantaha means striving. When there is a deep, intense desire for God realization, naturally the next step will follow the step of hard work, effort. They are deeply connected. Greater the desire, greater will be the effort we will put forth to obtain the object of desire. Effort is directly proportional to desire. If there is no desire, there is no effort. If there is intense desire, there will be intense, sincere, wholehearted effort. So from kirtanam comes yatanam or yatnam. Yatnam means effort. So after Shravanam and Mananam, if there is no desire to put forth any effort in sadhana, whatever the sadhana may be, chanting, japa, meditation, whatever the sadhana may be, if there is no intense desire to put forth effort in the path of sadhana, that means there is some problem with Shravanam and Mananam. Knowledge has not truly taken place. The very proof that you have understood the scripture, the proof is you will be inspired to put forth effort in spiritual practice. So, satatam kirtayantaha mam. Kirtanam leads to yatnam, effort. And that effort will definitely lead to the next step. What is the next step? Dridhavrataha. You become firm in your vows. Effort is always in terms of making vows, making resolutions. You resolve certain things. So there are certain things which will help me progress spiritually. I put forth effort. I make a resolve to do all those things. And there are certain things which will obstruct my spiritual progress. I make a resolve in not doing it in future. That is called as vratam. Vratam means vows, resolve that you make. So everything that helps me to progress spiritually, I do it with iron hand, and anything that obstruct me in spiritual progress, I avoid it in my life. So in fact, life becomes a set of do's and don'ts. These are the things which will help me progress spiritually. I will do it. I take a vow. These are the things which will not help me in spiritual progress. I will not do it. So that set of do's and don'ts are called vratam. Vratam means resolve, vows. So what happens to those vratam? Dridhavrata. It becomes very strong, very firm. Again, firmness of vow is directly connected to intensity of desire. I become firm in my vows. So therefore, if I am not firm in my vows, It simply means the desire is weak. And weak desire simply means proper Shravanam and Mananam has not happened. I have not properly reflected upon the truths of the scriptures. So they are all connected. When proper Shravanam happens, Mananam has to happen, reflection has to happen. When proper reflection happens, intense desire has to come for self realization, for God realization. And when that intent desire comes, you will put forth effort in this direction. And when you truly put forth effort, you will be firm in your vows. Dridhavrata. So they are all logically connected. There is a cause-effect relationship. Dridhavrata. And now, there are times when some of our vasanas are so strong, likes and dislikes are so strong, addictions are so strong. We come to know that with our effort, we cannot win over these addictions. Because the moment that sense object comes in front of us, our intellect is paralyzed. We are no more able to fight against it. That is what these desires do. They paralyze the intellect. They paralyze our thinking ability. And then we succumb to those desires. We yield to those temptations. Such moments are there. So then what should be done in those moments? So that next verse talks about, next term talks about that. Namasyantascha mam bhaktya. So whenever you find that the addictions are overpowering, bad habits, vasanas are overpowering, I'm not able to overcome these vasanas. So at that time, what is the best way? Namasyantaha. Namanam is the best way. Bow down to Bhagavan. Bhagavan, I am truly helpless. This particular weakness in me, I am not able to win over it. That vasana is really strong. I am incapable of fighting against it. So then what we should do? Surrender unto Bhagavan and say, Bhagavan, please bless me, save me. So that is called as Namasyantyascha Mam Bhaktya. Hold on to Bhagavan, surrender unto Bhagavan. And surrendering unto Bhagavan, put forth effort. So what happens? By the grace of the Lord, we are able to win over all addictions. We are able to win over all vasanas. So that is that story of Sugriva and Vali fight. Sugriva can never win over Vali because as far as Vali is concerned, 50%, the half of the power of the opponent comes to him. So nobody can defeat Vali. Our sense objects are all like that. They are all Valis. Vasanas are all like that. Addictions are all like that. So then Sugriva cannot defeat Vali. But then Sugriva must definitely fight against Vali. And by Bhagavan's arrow, Vali is killed. In the same way, it is only by the grace and blessings of Bhagavan that we will be able to win over all the weaknesses in us. Ahankaras and mamakaras in us, kama krodhas in us, ragadveshas in us. We cannot win over by our own effort alone. God's grace is necessary. So what should be the approach? Self-effort plus God's grace equal to success. This is the formula for success. Self-effort alone will not do. Okay, then God's grace alone without self-effort, that also will not do. Sugriva has to fight with Vali and Bhagavan has to kill Vali. Both are necessary. Sugriva cannot say, Bhagavan, you just shoot the arrow and kill Vali. I will not do anything. No, that will not work. We have to put forth effort, holding on to Bhagavan, surrendering unto Bhagavan, invoking His grace and blessing. In this way, when we fight against our weaknesses, success is sure. Namasyantyascha mam bhaktya. Then what is the result? Nitya yuktaha. When all the vasanas are gone, all the negativities of the mind are gone, then what happens in us? Nitya yuktaha. Nitya yukta means ever steadfast. Our personality becomes yukta, integrated. What is integrated personality? Whatever is right, I love doing it. Whatever is wrong, I hate doing it. That is called as personality integration. Whatever intellect says, the mind lovingly obeys. That is called as integration in personality. So this is what happens. Nitya Yukta. So first Shravanam, listen to the scriptures, then reflect upon the scriptures, Mananam. And as a result of this reflection, what should happen? Naturally, a desire must come for God realization, for liberation, for devotion, etc. That is called as Kirtanam. So Shravanam, Mananam, Kirtanam. And when this intense desire comes in the heart for God realization, next step is natural. What is the next step? Yatnam. Yatnam means effort. And then what happens? As a result of this effort, there is Dridhavratam. You become firm in your vows. You become firm in your vows. But some of these weaknesses are very strong in us. So at that time, what happens? Namanam, you surrender unto the Lord and derive strength from Him, and then you win over these weaknesses. And with this Namanam, what happens? Nitya Yuktam, the personality becomes steadfast. So these are the stages of progress. Shravanam, Mananam, Kirtanam, Yatnam, Dridhavratam, Namanam, and then Nitya Yuktam. So this is how the devotees progress in the path of spirituality. Now, how to worship the Lord, that is the next topic which we will see in the next class. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet, Asato Ma Sadgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate, Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.